everybody, wait a minute. Everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute. Sunshine, sunshine. Well, everybody, wait a minute. I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.
What's up, everybody? Welcome, everybody. It's still Black Power Media. So I mixed what I like this morning.
Yeah, but everybody, wait a minute.
GIE will be back next week. We'll resume our George Jackson then. We'll go ahead and let folks know we're here. Come on in. We're going to live that life. We're going to laugh and dance. Let's go.
Yeah,
And we
keep
need
it
some
right
church.
there. Everybody, wait a minute. Well, everybody, wait a minute.
Greetings, greetings. Exile gang. Trent. Saludos, saludos. Greetings, everybody. Come on in. Got a couple things to do this morning in lieu of GIU. Shout out to Doctors Joy James, Janine Jackson, Janine Jones. I don't know why I keep doing that. We talk regularly. Was even reading her work recently. Anyway, I don't know. I apologize. That's my fault. Doctors Janine Jones and Joy James. It's just the J's. And shout out to Kalanji as well, the GIU crew. We'll be back. Peace, 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 peace. Somebody find Shirley for me, please. I have a specific question for Shirley. Somebody reach out and grab Shirley and bring Shirley over here. But so this morning, what I'd like to do in lieu of GIU is just build with you all a little bit. I have a couple things on buying power, and I want to talk to you all about the church. Good. Shirley is here. Good morning. Because Shirley, I got the first. I think the very first thing is I have a question for you. But I also want to, I want to start off, well, initially I want to start off with this question for Shirley, but then I want to talk about church. And my family and I went to church yesterday. I would like to talk a little bit about that and make an argument for why we need church. Let's see. So, first of all, I was mistaken about the whole thing. I thought this is how much I don't. But right, yeah, it's Methodist. Black Methodists. I just always assume. I just assumed it was Baptist, and I honestly don't know the difference. But anyway, but I definitely want us to talk about that a little bit. But my first question though was for Shirley this morning, because Shirley, this was so random. I happened How did this work exactly? So yesterday I was looking around on my YouTube algorithm and saw a show that I'm subscribed to, but I honestly have not watched much of for whatever reason. It's nothing. I don't know what it is. Once I saw a clip because someone sent it to me because reference was made to my work in passing and in the context of talking about. Actually, it was just the reference from Olafemi Taiwo's book. They were covering elite capture. So I'm looking around and I'm looking at, and it's the Fab Socialism platform. And I remember whenever it was a year or two ago, whenever it was, I was drawn to this site because it said socialism in the title of the channel. And then I noticed it was a younger Black woman. And I thought, this could be dope to learn, to connect with, and have as a media part of my media diet. You don't often see that combination, an overtly socialist platform run by a younger Black woman. I don't know why I've never really watched, though. I've never ended up fully watching. I've caught a couple clips here, little things here or there, and then. But I said yesterday. I had a moment. I said I'm going to sit down. I think she was going live, or she was live, and I said let me just watch. And and it was wild because as soon as I tuned in, already, like as soon as I clicked play, I think people came home or people came over to the house. Something distracted me, and immediately, like, so just as I was getting drawn away and having to leave, I saw Shirley in the comments raise my name. And you had asked her if she had ever read my work or dealt something about that. And I was like, oh, wow. I said, Shirley. And then you raised my work, which I definitely appreciate. First of all, I appreciated seeing you. I was like, I should have known that I would run into a remixer out there. And then, but you were bringing up my work, but then I had to leave. And she was already talking about something. I don't know what she was doing. And then she was eating. That was the thing. I was like, I can't watch people eat. That's not my thing. So I was going to leave anyway. So my question for you, Shirley, is did she ever answer you? And what was the answer? Did she acknowledge your question? And because I made a comment on that one clip that I saw where she references my work. I commented and said, like, hey, remixes are everywhere. Exactly. So I was like, and I appreciate you all, as many of you as are finding me and us over here. I thank you very much for doing that. And off the record, I really do appreciate you, because off the record, I have I'll be for real. If we weren't doing this as a collective with BPM and it was just Jared on YouTube, I would be much more aggressive in calling out some folks who I don't think are showing the requisite reciprocity and support for our efforts here. So I appreciate all of you for doing it. Anyway, so yeah, okay, so Shirley, yes, she did acknowledge. She said she hadn't read the book yet. Okay, right on. Well, I appreciate you asking. And yeah, Shirley's here. Shirley's right here on Twitch. Shirley's view Twitch. So thank you. Well, thank you for that. And I hope she maybe she'll get the second edition if Derek Hamilton finishes his forward and turns it in so we can get the book off to the publisher and get it done public. Right, exactly. Thank you. And that's the part I saw. And the part of it that I saw, I thought she did a good job. and it was a well-produced piece, if I remember correctly, because she had clips, she had all like everything lined up. It was um yeah, 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 yeah. Uh no, so this is the other thing about the petty title. So first of all, just real quick on that. My broadcasting career started with freely distributed mixtapes on CD, mixtape radio, and shout out to Radio CPR, pirate radio in Washington D.C. So I'm not. I've. That's why if folks remember at the beginning of this whole thing, when at the very beginning of LDI, Dr. CBS asked me if I wanted to be famous, and to this day, I still think she struggled with my answer because I was saying no, and that I like broadcasting for the sake of trying to follow in certain broadcasting traditions. I do enjoy doing it. It's in that, and selfishly, it's like therapy. It's a nice little, a release. It's intellectual work. I'm not capable. I'm not. No, sorry. Rephrase that. It's intellectual work. I'm not able to do at my job. So you know but I've never had a problem with having small audiences, and in fact, again, I'm very Glenn Ford on this issue. I always liked his approach to Black Agenda Report. We're not targeting mass audiences, we're targeting small committed audiences who will take the work and magnify it in their work. That's a rough paraphrase, and that's how I've never, like, I like seeing our numbers increase. I'm not, obviously, and obviously, all of that, but I'm gonna be here regardless. And at this point, to finish that thought, I'm almost gonna do it out of spite. I don't care if nobody's paying attention at this point. Just how dare somebody say you can't do it? I'm gonna do it if I was rocking with, and I don't know what happened to the brother, but shout out to Mbana Kantako from back in the 90s and early 2000s, who was doing pirate radio, I believe, out of Chicago. I'm rocking with that whole thing. I'd rather broadcast to a handful of underground revolutionaries than a whole mass audience of YouTube, sillies. But that said, so anyway, I'm gonna keep going regardless, anyway. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Am I in traffic commute to work freestyles are vicious. I'll be rocking by myself. This is what only child syndrome. You know what I'm saying? 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 So damn YouTube. No, I'm just playing. Don't get me started. But the flip side though is I do feel a certain kind of way about what is clearly, and I'm gonna wait on it. I'm gonna give it some time to breathe. But how you gonna reach out to us talking about you want solidarity with us, and then you want you anyway? I'm gonna come back to that. Wait, I'm just gonna wait. It's not over for me. And somebody I'm part of a collective now. I want to move as part of a collective. So when if were I doing this as a solo project, oh my goodness, folks would be getting called out right now. It would just be my version of YouTube beefs, because the reciprocity and the solidarity is not there, and people are not principled. That is just it's just what it is. People are just clearly not principled, and that's one of the reasons why we're losing. So that's anyway. So let me just get to some of the points here. I will be back at 11 o'clock, and if you can, please come back, because Norman Finkelstein will be joining me at 11. And I don't know how it's going to go, but it's going to be I honestly don't know how it's going to go. I've already told him we don't agree. The more I've read of his book, it is not it's not what we needed from him. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but it's gonna go. So if you can join me at 11, please do. Um oh yeah, Finkelstein's coming on at 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock Eastern time AM this morning to talk about his new book. And it's not giving. it is going to be a little wild. And he is no punk. So he knows it's going to be disagreement, and he's coming. That 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 Coney Island, Brooklyn. But I have never wanted to say stay in your lane more than ever. I mean, it's going to be, and the thing is, it's not that he's wrong. It's not that he's not funny. The book, I have literally been cracking up, laughing out loud, funny, like legit, not just typing LOL, but laughing, literally laughing. But it's just not, the political point is not, oh no, he's from Brooklyn and stayed in Brooklyn, stayed in his Coney Island apartment, keeping it real. Can you break down how the U.S. destroyed solidarity workers, immigrants, hundreds of years? Solidarity, it was dismantled, or did the U.S. carefully allow for pro-imperialist, pro-capitalism folks? Oh wow, that is a good question. I don't know if I would do it justice this morning, but that is something I think we should do some programming just around that. I tend to think it was more overtly destroyed as opposed to just allowed for certain things to happen, although one could be seen as being the same as the other. When the overt attempts were successful, all you have to do is set up the lane for the frauds to run in and encourage it, and they'll run in it. And then you just open up the and you know, just make the lane bigger and bigger, or more centered, platformed and promoted, you know. But anyway, let me try to make this quick point if I can. All right, so I got my Shirley question answered. So listen, so we go to the church. Shout out to St. Paul United Methodist Church in Oxon Hill, Maryland. And if anybody's not familiar with Oxon Hill, with PG County, Maryland, this is the heart of Black bougie DC. Well, the heart of the formerly of the gentrified. It's Maryland, the surrounding county just outside of DC, very bougie, and yet very bougie for a relative Black economic condition. In other words, it's not like they actually have real money, but relative to the rest of the Black community, they're a leg up. But it's beautifully Black. All of the stereotypical positive and negative trappings of Blackness were on display, and but it was fantastic. And I'm saying this as, so I just want to be clear, I am an aggressive atheist. I think I've crossed over into like full on anti-religion. Like I'm hostile to religion. But I love the Black church. It's a crazy contradiction. Every time I go, there's yeah, but sometimes, you know, you might feel like, man, it's getting a little long, my back hurts in the pew or whatever. But other than that, I love, and so I'm sitting there, right? And even with my aggressive atheism, the beauty of the, because it's so like, I don't know, I don't know how familiar you all are with church, or how, you know, probably much more than I am, but it was like, it's not some mega church, but it's not some rinky dink spot either. And they've, you know, stylistically, it's fly. They had all the attendants and the I forgot what's the word, not chaperone, but the ushers and the greeters and the nice laid out, you know, the central cross and two screens on each side, so they get real digital and social media. The pastors, he's like my age, but but still, relatively speaking, has that kind of youthful edge, like small choir. My man's in the choir. The keyboard player is in the vibe band whose music you heard playing at the beginning of the show. So it's so it's like I got to see haven't we don't see each other that often anymore. But one of my oldest friends is they got to see him. The vibe band is they got a small little uh but it's so they had it like it was so well choreographed. I mean, everything was like the big sisters, the choir leader, like all the little stereotypical things, like and they're ushering people in. Everybody's greeting you. They had masks for us. They had this for us. They were this. Everybody's happy to see you. They knew we were new, or at least that I hadn't been in years, and since the last time I was visiting my buddy in church, and they're like, welcome, well, everything, seating you, they have a little thing running, little video with some comedy about what kind of, worshiper are you, where you hold your hands and all the different, the light bulbs and the Mufasa and, all this. I mean, it was great. And then they got the music, then the keyboard starts laying down that organ, and then they start singing, and then the gospel. I mean, you just in there rocking, yeah, getting everything started with the church. Then the preacher, they know how to bring it down. They see him walk up on the side, and he's kind of letting them know, okay, I'm ready now. The pastor, and then he comes up through the bed of music, and everything is so well choreographed. His the announcements, the appeals to the tithing, got to get the money, the um I don't know, finding new ways of appealing to young people and black youth and stylish ways to invite people to participate digitally, virtually, in person. Um, and you feel it. I get it. Again, even as an aggressive atheist, you start to feel the sense of community. You get this good vibe, the music. I mean, I don't none of the messages is but the vibe and is I don't know and then the sermon, and all I'm sitting there even as I'm like, that's a contradiction, that don't make no sense, that's not going to work, oh, that's silly, that's not what that meant. Even as my head is doing all of that while I'm listening to the sermon, I don't know, other parts of me are still like, this is just dope. And at the end, even at the end, this is how susceptible the messaging and even at the end where he does the thing and he says, the pastor says, and if you need a home, if you're new, if you want to come up and get saved, and he puts his hand out, he said, I'm here. And even for a moment, it's like, do I want to go up there? Do I want to go get saved? I want to be part of this. I want in. I want all of this vibe. I want to walk into a place every week and see people saying my name and hugging me and saying, good to see you again, brother. And you know, oh, that God is good and Jesus loves you and and all the black aphorisms, all that blackness. It was just felt great. Um And as I'm sitting there thinking about, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, again, my head is like, none of this messaging, the content doesn't make any sense. I see what you're trying to do, but there's no evidence for that. There's none of this. But I'm like, this, and I just was sitting there thinking, this is what we need. And I know this is not me coming up with some new idea, but this is what I was like, we in the radical, revolutionary, whatever organizing spaces, we need church. And on some sense, some levels, I mean it literally. And what I wrote here as a note is that we need the symbolism, we need the ritual, we need routine participation, not radical religion, but religious radicalism was the note that I wrote here. So I'm not advocating that we join, become a revolutionary Christian and a revolutionary Muslim or whatever. I'm saying get rid of all of that. But we who are building, looking to organize, I do think we need some version of church. Because I kept thinking, what if all of this was happening in the context of revolutionary politics? I want to go to a place where we have a building where we go in and where we have the music and the gathering and the announcements and the tithing and the thises and the that's, but all of it going to the work that is associated with this platform. Not radical religion, but religious radicalism, where we have the music. If Ray Charles can turn gospel songs into pop hits, we can turn gospel songs into revolutionary messages. And I don't mean in the sense that Christians believe they're already revolutionary messages. I'm saying legit. So, like an updating of the Lumpin', the Black Panther Funk Band. We need a choir. We need a band. We need what I wrote here is rotating pastors. I'm not advocating that we focus around the individual style leadership of a pastor. But if we had rotating sermons given by people in our circles who give these speeches and lectures and presentations all the time, but in this kind of setting, where instead of coming in and we get a lecture about how Daniel and his buddies changed their names and had their identities changed and stayed committed to the fasting and the praying to their God, even as they were being invited to kneel before the golden calf and all of that, and staying focused, and it's Lent, and instead of giving up food this week, we're going to give up negative energy, and we're going to fast. I mean, my head was stuck in none of this is real. And all of these messages is just like astrology. All of these messages are vague and can be applied and bent to any one story that you want. I mean, in my head, I couldn't get out of that. But I was still like loving it. In the way they would break up and you could see, I mean, it was so well choreographed. And I was telling my daughters, in the car on the way home, I was like, even in lectures, in classes, sometimes I get into that same, you get into a rhythm, you get into I'm preaching and I get elevated. And then I know how to bring it down. Y'all not hearing me. Y'all not hearing. Can we talk for a minute? And then you get built up because the Lord, and then you bring it down. So it's just in my classes, I'm George Jackson. Y'all not hearing me. It was so well done. It was so well done. But and again, what is so perfect about it is that even as I'm sitting there intellectually challenging it, recognizing the performativeness of it, I'm loving it. I'm watching the organist make eye contact with the sister that lead the choir director and behind the preacher, and they're all making, and he'll sometimes, how the preacher would turn and start talking to the choir, and he's really letting them know what's coming next. I mean, it was so, and you could see, this is where James Brown got everything. The whole I'm gonna put the cape on him and help him walk off. The whole I'm gonna talk to the band while pretending to talk to the audience. I mean, it's so, and you can see why there's no such thing as a truly good singer who doesn't come through the church. Because everybody, they were in there blowing. It was so dope. And I was like, 90% of the people who come here, they're not studying this. They're not studying the depth. They're not studying the histories. They're not reading competing texts. They're not updating themselves on the science that would destroy these narratives. They don't care about any of that. They're there for what I was getting, even as in my head, I'm hating on the whole thing. And then they add to it some actual, some belief. And of course, so I really like I really think we need that. And if and I'm saying I know that, I know that there are a bunch of different, wild churches and all kinds of stuff, but I think we need like a church of the revolution and make it, file it, make it legit in the eyes of the law and the Lord, get the tax-free status, do all of that, and do everything that they did in that service yesterday, it, replacing the content. Just replace the content. I want the singing. I want the greeters. That felt good. And they actually felt, even through their masks, like it was legit. We are happy you're here. We are happy you're here. Come get this good word. Come back. We hope you come back. And I'm probably going back. So that's my pitch. I mean, that's it. I don't that's what I like. And I was saying like the band could be Mama's Biscuits. I wrote that down, at least in one of the churches, because we got to spread this. It got to be a whole bunch of churches. And then I said, update the Black Liberation Study Guide, Army Study Guides. Update the Black Liberation Army Study Guide and use it in conjunction with George Jackson's Blood in My Eye. And that would be and compile them into one, just like the Bible, compile them into one Bible. We could probably add some others. The Bible's thick. The Quran is thick. We could put a whole bunch. We could call it our new Bible, which is just a collection of books, package it into one, have a council that agrees on what would go in. We have our own Council of Nicaea, and we'll put in the books of our Bible that we think are relevant. And we could have our competing gospels, Mark, Luke, Matthew, John, whatever. They don't all agree, and they borrow, and we could have, Malcolm, Masada, George, Harriet. I don't know, whatever. And then we could have our four gospels. I'm even saying lay it out like that. We could have our Genesis, the origins of Pan-African revolution. We could have an Exodus story, how we were exiled out of Africa and the diaspora was created. We would then have, I don't remember the order of but put all that. And I remember Ben Yochanan said that Exodus was that Genesis had to be written after Exodus to explain. He said the ordering was done backwards so that the people who had already left could explain their origins, could go retroactively explain their origin. I'm saying we need to do all of this. We need to do all of this, and we need to have all of the accoutrement of a church. No cross, maybe. I could do without a cross. I feel like whenever I see that symbol, I feel oppressed. But and by the way, I'm ecumenical with that. Whenever I see the star and crescent, whenever I see the Star of David, whenever I see, pick one, the American flag, whenever I see, I feel oppressed. So maybe change it, but we need that. I think we need that. And we need to, every Sunday, we need to rock out, or Saturday, or whatever the hell it is, whatever the day is, we need to rock out. And do this. I'm like at least 50-50 serious. Maybe I'm like 80-20 serious to joking. But I would love that. I really do think we need to, because I had a really good time there, and I don't agree or believe in any of it. It's not even that. I'm aggressively hostile to it. So it's like that's the beauty of their what they have going. I'm hostile to the message and still loved my time there. Felt welcomed, legit had a good time. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah, the cross is violent. I mean, it was capital punishment. Um, a dialectical gospel. I mean, I don't know. Who would our bishops of Nicaea be? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't got. I'm literally thinking about this for not even 24 hours. I started as we walked into church at about 10 o'clock yesterday morning. It started to develop as an idea for me. I've never really thought of it in this way, so I don't know. I don't know, but I'm down. We can, this be part one of series of conversations. Who would be determining what books we would get? Would I mess that up? What I say? I probably did mess it up. What I say? You know what I'm talking about? Them dudes. Um, I'm always impressed by community. I'm not out much, and I'm definitely not at the church much. But uh, community is great, and it's biscuits. Stop fronting, Mama's biscuits. That's messed up. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that. Yeah, right. Yeah. Hold on. No, they would see that as that book would be seen as blasphemy, even in church. Because he was leaning in he almost the pastor kind of went a little bit. He started going a little bit. They almost have to go a little bit towards the buying power mythology when they start talking about tithing and red, black, and green, right? The red, black, and green flag. That's messed up. That's messed up. Anyway, um, just some thoughts. But all jokes aside, I do think we need to find ways of making. I mean, I remember one time I took some buddies of mine to a DC um, a DC Green Party meeting, um, trying to recruit them, and it was boring. It was just boring, and that was their whole point. Like they weren't radically politically, motivated to begin with, and the meeting was boring, and they were like, "I'm not doing this again." Yeah. And I do think that that is a little bit of an issue. Like I think we need some kind of maybe, but that's not I don't fully agree with that, but I don't but that's not my point. My point is whatever our formations are, I think we need something that will bring people in just with that alone. That in terms of the vibe and the community and the pageantry, the showmanship of it. Speaking of showmanship, just real quick, I just reminded. Did you all see the Chris Rock thing on Netflix? Um, so all I have to say about, and I'll ask the fellas. We'll talk about it on your liberation, maybe, so Diallo can get his anti-celebrity in. But he, all I'll say is that Chris Rock, he wrote an entire Netflix special of underwhelming jokes that he even struggled to perform just so he could call Jada Pinkett Smith a B. That would seem to be the whole point. Will too, but Jada in particular, he wanted to call her a B. And that seemed to be the whole point of the whole special. So he could end and then call them some names and then mic drop and walk off. And it wasn't his best work. Because it was to me, it was clearly only created so that he could conclude the way he did. It wasn't like I have new material, I got stuff I wanted to. It was like, let me throw some stuff together, probably quickly rehearse it for a year, and then go to Baltimore and perform this for Netflix just so he could get in his. It and I'm not mad that he wanted to say something to Will and Jada, and I'm not necessarily mad at what he said. But it was just not. He could have just. It could have been anywhere. He could have gone on somebody's talk show or podcast and just said blah. But that wouldn't have come with that Netflix check. So anyway, anyway, All right, so there are a couple of other things, speaking of buying power, that I did want to get to this morning before we wrap, and hopefully you all can come back, and even bring folks with you for the Norman Finkelstein at 11 o'clock. And then if anybody does have anything that they really that you want to say about the church idea or anything else, I'll come back to the chat before I wrap, uh, and we can get into that. But so I'd have, again, the second edition of the Buying Power book is submitted. It's just awaiting Derek Hamilton to submit his forward so the publisher can go ahead and move on. But I obviously I still get the alerts, and it's just fascinating to see what is still being said, even though I feel like I can't help but feeling like sometimes, come on now. Yeah, I can't imagine being like I don't know, any. So this came out the A list. I don't even know what this is. Maybe some of you do. Less than half of Black consumers feel understood by brands. And I don't know why. I thought I had notes on here, and I don't see them showing up though. Is it because I'm not? Is it because wait a minute? Why aren't the notes showing up at all? It says it's active, so where is it? Oh well. Yeah, why isn't that showing up? Chrome. All right. Anyway, less than half of Black consumers feel understood by brands is the title of this piece. The reasons I know this was one of the things I wanted to bring out, because they again, McKinsey and Company, I am really glad I added them to the second edition, at least a little bit. I didn't get into them as much as I would have liked, just some space constraints and then some time constraints in terms of the book. But as I've talked about here before, McKinsey is not here to tell Black people how to better understand their actual economic condition. And they're not here to explain to anyone else the actual economic condition of Black people or anyone else. McKinsey is here to get money, lots of money, from corporations, municipalities, and beyond, to shape policy and messaging to attract more customers for those businesses and municipalities that hire them. McKinsey's been around for a long time. They are connected to all kinds of right-wing and conservative economic policies. They've expanded into this discussion of diversity and Black consumption, but only on that same foundation or basis of trying to help extract wealth, extract and exploit labor, not explain the actual conditions of labor. So as it says here, a recent McKinsey survey, which we've covered here so many times, it's the same thing, revealed that Black consumers would shift 30% of their current spending, approximately $300 billion, to products designed to deliver quality and function that meets their needs. So again, in an odd way, they are accurately reflecting in this story what McKinsey is saying. McKinsey is not saying Black people have $300 billion that they can use to collectively invest and buy this and that to increase the income and wealth relationships that Black people have to this country, blah, 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 blah. That's not what they're doing. They're saying, if you sell products designed to deliver quality to meet these needs, you can tap into that $300 billion. Here was the other thing, the other specific reference, and I'm going to show you this in a second, because it's like I admit there's a selfishness and a myopia here, but my point is like, I published this work, I publish all of this data and evidence, and as I'm going to show you in a second, it seems like they've gone backwards. It's like they're doubling down on their lack of methodology or appropriate methodology in reaching these conclusions. By 2024, the buying power of the U.S. Black population is set to reach $1.8 trillion, reads a recent Nielsen IQ report. Yet, despite this, their needs are still not being met by many beauty and personal care brands. I thought this was interesting too. I keep noticing this. They are differentiating more and more between single race Black population growth, which is only plus 6% in the last 10 years, but multiracial Black population growth is up 89%. It's not clickable. So again, I read this as them trying to more and more draw out those in my own particular category to separate us politically, culturally, socially, and otherwise from. So are we? So I mean, anyway, I keep going down intellectual thought rabbit holes with this. What is the difference between a single race and a multiracial Black population? And what differences are these folks trying to create, even as they're overtly doing it for marketing purposes? But even then, so what are they then saying? This is why the one part of Chris Rock's routine that I kind of wish he would have gone in more on and maybe spent less time on some of these other jokes was on, as he rightly notes, the increased and I've talked about it here, depiction of multiracial people and interracial relationships in commercials and film and television, despite the uptick in those relationships not existing when Black people and particularly Black women are concerned. So in other words, you see more depictions of Black women with non-Black men than exists in real life. And why are they doing that? And then what does this mean to be a multiracial Black population? So we're acknowledging your one dropness, but your separateness, but then and yet identifying you as part of the Black population and certainly counting you as part of that for marketing and data purposes. So anyway, like I said, I admit to I will rabbit hole that on my own all day. This was the line I also had meant I did highlight before, and I don't know why it's not even, why is this not working? Anyway, because it says it accurately, despite that $300 billion play up for grabs, the beauty industry segment, so they're talking about, again, I'm not interested in what their claims are about where Black people spend their money. I'm interested in the fact that they're using buying power to buying power is accurately described here as something that is up for grabs for corporations that satisfy these interests, but it is often reported and misunderstood as some sort of wealth and power that Black people actually have. Black people are loyal. That's always true. So yeah. Anyway, but when you go to the reference Nielsen store, this will just take a second because and I'm like, so this is the Nielsen IQ. So they rebranded a little bit their data thing, the Nielsen IQ brand. But as it says here, attracting Black beauty consumers in 2022. So again, they're not trying to help Black people or anyone else actually understand the economic condition of Black people. They're trying to attract Black consumers. So, but this is by 2024, the buying power of the US Black population is set to reach $1.8 trillion. And then you're like, wow, you get excited if you're like me because you're saying, wow, there's a footnote. Yay, a footnote. I'm going to go to the footnote. I'm going to go to the foot. I can't wait to go to the footnote. I do. I get excited. I see footnotes. I'm like, yes. Sources. Nielsen Consumer LLC. Huh? What? No link. No report. What? Nielsen Consumer LLC. What? So it's like they're doubling and tripling down. We're not going to attach this to some survey. We're not going to attach this to some joint National Newspaper Association, Publishers Association, NNPA, Black Press study of Black consumers. We're just going to say it. We're not going to reference, as we used to, the Selig Center as our sole source for this claim. We're not doing any of that. And we're not even going to link it to something that you even can pay for as a report. We're just going to say it. But but they speak. This is going back to some of the very first kind of horrific methodology that I called out way back when. The Black population in the US is expected to grow by 21% between 2022 and 2045, while the non-Hispanic white population is likely to decrease by 18%, positioning Black shoppers as an ever-growing consumer group which demands increased focus. So again, Black people's economic condition isn't improving. Black people aren't doing any better economically via income or wealth, but we can say their buying power is increasing because by relative to the non-white, non-Hispanic white population, or the white population, the real whites whose population is decreasing, Black shoppers are an ever-growing consumer group. And a bunch of them are young. 54% of Black people are under the age of 35 compared to 46. And again, they don't say that this is because Black people get killed more often. Black people's health is less strong and cared for, so they die earlier. No, no, no. This is a sign of a positive from a marketing perspective because they're young, dumb, and full of debt, credit, and small incomes that they can spend. Somebody thought I was going to say something else, but I'm not that kind of YouTuber. Or excuse me, we're not a YouTuber at all at this point. I'm not that kind of broadcaster. Anyway, so that's it. Yeah, Black women will pay more. Black people are loyal. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no source. Oh, this is one other thing. I'm gonna show you all this because if I show it, I'm gonna show it to Diallo, but I think it's gonna make his head explode. Like, I mean, he might really need medical treatment after this. Here's another reason why we're so confused. Um, this is a list of rappers and hip hop artists who have turned social activists, and their booking costs, because this is the All American Entertainment Speakers Bureau. So if you have 50 to 100 grand, you can get Killer Mike. 100 to 200 grand, you can get Common. 200 grand and above, you can get Lizzo to talk about social activism. Talib Kweli, we know, well, he's a radical, so he's only 20 grand. Rhapsody, she's with the people, only 30 to 50 grand. Pharrell, you can't afford it. They don't even put a fee. David Banner, I honestly didn't know he was still active, either as an activist or a musician. So good for him. 10 to 20 grand. Ice-T, relatively cheap. You can get him virtually for 50 grand. But if you want Megan Thee Stallion to talk to you about social activism, that's $200,000 and up. Same with Snoop. Lupe, who I might actually want to hear from, is 50 to 100 grand. Big Sean, 200,000 and up. But if you want that good, you know what I'm saying, social activism, you get what you pay for. Live, you can't afford Donald Glover, and virtually you can get him for 200,000 and up. Who else is on here? Chance the Rapper, 200,000. Rihanna. Game, only 30,000. to come out and tell you he's better than Eminem. Tony Blackman, shout out to Tony. Brilliant sister, brilliantly talented. You know, what can I say? Can't afford her. can't afford, if it's not listed, you can't afford. Same thing with Dave. I don't know anything about Dave though. Kendrick Lamar, 200,000 to tell you it's all right. It's gonna be all right. Akala, I would actually like to hear from him. He is an incredibly brilliant MC, and I think he has the right politics. So I'm shocked that he's here at all. And I'm assuming this means he's not really bookable. This isn't real. Is he getting booked like that though? With his politics? I don't know. Anyway. You think the fees are bogus? Yeah, you're probably right. Because who's paying that? Who can afford that? But at the same time, when is the last time you saw one of them at your local whatever? Anyway, so look, come on back. I appreciate you coming through this morning. GIU will be back next week. We are intending to pick up with the reading of Blood in My Eye. Akala, go look him up. Vicious MC. Mixed brother. He's one of them. What were they calling it? Multiracial black. He's multiracial black population, as opposed to the singularly black. Vicious MC. Vicious. Go check out his work. Guerrilla Intellectuals University, which is generally the Monday morning program with Doctors Joy James and Janine Jones and Kalanji Changa and myself. The other episodes are on the channel. You should go check them. The channel's still full of content you can watch. Yeah, Akala's from London. And please do catch up on all that. Yeah, I'm not surprised he has, but I have not read any of them. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised to learn that. Deeply thoughtful cat and an incredibly talented MC. I mean, he's got there's like 7-minute freestyles and stuff on there that you can go see. And his equally brilliant written. Yeah, so. Now Jay-Z's a billionaire and he's helping black people by setting up Bitcoin and broadband cryptocurrency training in Marcy projects. We've covered that here too at BPM. So if you're not aware of that, we've already explained how Jay-Z is. No, he's busy reuniting with Adidas. He doesn't have time for that. And I gotta say, I watched some of Hassan Campbell's commentary on this yesterday, and I think he's at least partially right. What is Kanye's response to all the people that defended him on YouTube and lost their channels and got so like BPM's not the only one getting censored. And apparently Hassan Campbell got a couple strikes for what I'm sure were some very crazy defenses of Kanye. But my point is, Kanye made all this stuff. He did the same. He did the Byron Nelson black dip and dive, run into black people when he has a business problem and claims racism and Illuminati and the Jews and all this other stuff, and then goes back and cuts a deal with them, apparently. So I think Hassan was raising a legit question, like what are you, Kanye, going to do to support all the people that lost channels, lost revenue, got banned, strikes, defending you as you go back and cut another deal to make another however many hundreds of millions. The ban, by the way, for us ends tomorrow. We should be, I believe we're able to be live tomorrow. So the remix should be live and direct on all platforms tomorrow. But yeah, so I you know, but wasn't the whole point of his ranting to garner more money? You mean Kanye? Probably. I don't honestly. I don't know. Probably, but um, I don't know. Yeah. Probably. But a lot of people believed him, and a lot of people, wanted to rock with him and defend him against them. And and this is why Diallo, is anyway. I'll let But I mean, I think this is why I think it's right to be critical of our relationship to celebrity, but also to recognize that this is why celebrity is created. This is the only reason for celebrity to be created, to create confusion, to it is like what Cannabis in his interview with Math Hoff, I thought it was a great point. I love the way he described to manipulate people. He said he used the metaphor of holding meat in front of a caged lion. Like, and his point was, I can't make the lion move just by telling him. But if I drag the meat back and forth, he'll follow the meat. So I can move. If I want to move something big and powerful that's not going to listen to me, I have to dangle some, So and that's, I think, in many ways how we are treated, in terms of we are the caged lion, and that the dangled meat are these celebrities promising us freedom, some better opportunity, something else to focus on. And we don't realize, and then we're not realizing that celebrity is just dangled meat, dangled, dead, empty, useless meat, but that is still yet somehow attractive and seems tasty to us. Right out, right on. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. BPM is, and shout out to Kalanji for that. And BPM, that's the whole point, or that's what we're doing. Which is why, let me leave it there. Let me just leave that there. So anyway, all right, good people, come on back in a couple hours. I'm gonna go try to, I'm gonna, stretch and get into a Zen space for this Norman Finkelstein interview at 11 o'clock. So come on back if you can, 11 o'clock Eastern. Please do all of the things. Continue to support the channel, support the platform in a variety of ways, all of which are listed here. Patreon, YouTube membership, subscribe, like, share, donate at blackpowermedia.org if you have the ability. There's a number of different ways at blackpowermedia.org that you can contribute. And if not, that's understandable. Just simply like, share, subscribe to our Twitch channel if you can, and share the content, comment on the content, and that's just as good as,
put it in the comments.
Just as good as supporting financially. All right. All right, good people. Thanks again for supporting the platform, coming through this morning. It's always good to see you. Like Fred Hampton used to say to you, we say peace if you're willing to fight for it. Catch you back at 11 o'clock for more I Mix What I Like with Dr. Norman Finkelstein. Peace, everybody.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.